Welcome back to Healthcare Sucks. And tonight, today, tomorrow, early in the morning, whatever the heck it is, we're coming to you with some interesting stuff. First of all, do you see what's on the screen? Dairy farmers forced to dump milk. Now, they didn't go into it much, but basically, the farmers are being told to get rid of milk. I mean, in a time like this, couldn't they be donating it? Okay, in several different countries, the same kind of thing is going on. Uh, Large amounts of fruits and vegetables that could go to people that could be donated are being dumped. Doesn't that seem strange in a time like this, guys? So remember we were talking about the strange and the weirdness? It just continues. And then we're going to let him do the talking, but we're going to watch Russia and China together decided to ban up with the US to do the artificial stock market thing so oil can go up. And sure enough, oil went up pretty good and then came back down. Went up to about 29 a barrel, down to 24, but it was at like 9 or 10 bucks at one point or something. So it just shows you how phony baloney and how entied everybody is to making the money. And so that comes into a point with this, what's going on right now. The deeper and deeper we get, guys, the more and more I see this is. I honestly believe this is the push for one world government and one world order, uh, aka Mark of the Beast. This is the starting officially. Out of this, they're gonna come back. Really watch out when this is over, guys. Each and every one of you, for some hero, one entity, if such an entity arises and makes himself public, he may not at first. He might wield the power from behind the curtain. But at some point, he's supposed to come out, and that will be the Antichrist. So there's no doubt to me that with everything going on, that this is not more going. There's more at foot. I mean, they are fudging, which means uh, falsifying the counts on the numbers, and then China's not telling the truth on the numbers, and people with other underlying diseases are being thrown into the count, and uh, no end in sight for us, getting off of this. Basically, I'm going to call it martial law 2.0, uh, which is nuts, guys. It just is nuts. And I know that we're doing this because everybody's worried and we're seeing this go around and stuff. This thing has some really bad things. It seems to be mutating again. But with all this going on, so far, other than China and a few other places, the numbers have been like what the flu numbers are, or less so far, knock on wood. It definitely is a bioweapon that was released, and I still believe it was an act of war from China. The only way it wasn't an act of war is if they're all in it together, and this is definitely. And I wouldn't put it past China to be involved in the one world order and whatever, because look at who they are. I mean, they're not nice guys. They're evil, definitely. And power, evil, money rules the world. So why not be in cahoots? And with Russia and them tag teaming the oil now and holding barrels so that it'll go up. I don't know. There's just day by day, there's more funny and weird stuff. Um, I don't get into politics too much with you guys, but I'm going to say a couple. Bernie Sanders caved completely now. So, I mean, like him or not, he was, I felt was the only chance they had, personally. Um, I personally don't like Slow Joe, but it's my own opinion. Um, you're welcome to vote, but if it even counts, guys, because really, with everything going on, I think it's all going to be set up anyway. And I've talked to it before. If we're in the middle of a wartime situation, there isn't going to be no presidential change. And depending how this goes, we're not going to be having no real votes unless something really odd comes out of this. I mean, in Oregon, we vote by mail anyway. So for us, it's no biggie. Um, but with that being said, it's too easy to control everything, guys, when it's by computer and vote by mail and all this other. So whether it's real or not, it'll be real when they when they say who's going to be president. Yes, but now whether it's going to be actual our votes counted, I don't think so. I think this election's done. Uh, I don't want people mad at me on how it's going to come out. I could basically tell you how it's going to come out. So if you guys want to know, you can email me and I'll give you my opinion. I don't want to start no wars over political stupidness right now. One good thing though is a lot of people, the left and the right, are coming together. Team 99 and the 99%. We are finally getting our wake up call and realizing that we are getting screwed again. Totally. The banks got the money. Wall Street got their money. Most people can't get the business loans. It's a big hooey. They could be giving out the money, guys. They're not. And next week, we'll see who gets the checks. And even that, with everybody, let's say everybody gets that check. Everybody's so far down now, they're going to have, in addition to other monies, like they're promising the people, once they can even file unemployment. By the way, it's crashing. You can't even file unemployment. Can't file extensions. I mean, there's no way this is negligence. They're doing this on purpose to stall. And it's all about the money, guys. And about us being the deplorables, pieces of trash, and expendable people. It comes back to Agenda 21. Again, I'll say it again. One world government, one world order. I'm keeping a really close eye on everything, and then I've been doing some work myself. But I've been working on some other things, trying to weed through this so I can bring you more of what I believe their plan is, other than just telling you it's one world order, one world government coming in. Look to see a lot of YouTube's getting shut down in the near future. Look to see the internet having some major interruptions. While we're doing all this, make sure you guys watch the skies, because there's something strange going on. And I'm not going to say UFOs or meteors or this or that, but I did catch a little bit of Pastor Paul. I didn't get to watch it all because I was busy. But something about something's going to crash into Jupiter or somewhere. And then with that, we've got the other comet coming this way that BP covered, and several other, that's BP Earthwatch covered, and some other people. And it's actually starting to splinter up. It's not supposed to hit the Earth, but that's not to say that pieces and fragments won't. But they've got us locked in our houses for some reason. And I really wish I knew the exact cause and effect, because I would share it with you guys regardless. Even if it meant me getting kicked off, I would do it, guys, for you. You know I would. Meanwhile, we have to just go on. So I hope everybody's getting prepared. The food lines are just, more of it. I watched it again today. More food lines, just ridiculous. I mean, the only way they're going to solve that problem is to bring in troops and do huge food drops per neighborhoods, per maybe even household, just drive by. But so many of us are worried about the strange with the military being involved and knocking at doors and all this other stuff right now. So better look at taking care of it yourself, guys. And heaven forbid we have another catastrophe in the midst of all this. Because I want to state it, this is not a recession. This is a full-fledged depression. There's just no doubt, guys. So with that, I covered a few things with you. I do love you guys, and I'll pray for you. I'm going to turn this on, and let's let him speak about Russia and China, and we'll watch a few things.
Today, they had a sort of a knee-jerk run-up on talk. It was just talk that the so-called virtual meeting between the key oil players, namely Russia and Saudi Arabia, would produce a cut in production of up to 20 million barrels a day. Now that sounds a little over the top, but that was what they were running on. They're not running on it as much right now. The gains have been pared considerably. Phil Flynn is all this stuff, so maybe he knows why that's eased up. Well, what do you think, Phil?
Neil, I'm sure you're glad that Saudi Arabia and Russia seem to have buried the hatchet when it came to their little production war, but they've been under unprecedented pressure, not only from the price of oil, but geopolitical pressure from places like the United States and Canada that really have taken the brunt of this crash in the oil prices. What we're hearing right now is that a deal is actually done. The question is exactly how it's going to play out. The 20 million barrel a day cut production isn't going to be OPEC alone. From what we're hearing, the OPEC production cut is going to be mainly about 10 to 12 million barrels. The bulk of that, at least 6 million barrels of that, is going to be taken by Saudi Arabia, that is pulling down production from 12 million barrels a day to 6 million barrels a day. The Russians are going to kick in about 2 million barrels, and the rest of the cartel is going to make up that difference. So that's the talk right now. But there is another big meeting that oil traders are going to be watching, even though the markets will be closed due to the Good Friday holiday. That is the G20 energy minister. That's when the oil producers and the consumers are going to get together and try to hammer out to see if other countries are going to join in this cut to try to stabilize energy prices. Right now, from what we're hearing, OPEC is looking for the G20 to kick in at least an additional 5 million barrels a day to cut off production. That goes with the U.S. production that's already on track to fall by 2 million barrels a day, not because they're colluding with OPEC, but because the market's been so bad and producers have had to cut back production.
All right, Phil Flynn, thank you very, very much, my friend.
Be the person that.
And with that, sorry guys for turning my back on you. I turned my back on you. I'm so sorry. I'm just joking. Go over and check out Dabu777. I'm not going to run his whole film. He's putting out some really good stuff right now. Dabu. The peacekeepers, you know these guys. UN. They're suspending deployment and rotation of peacekeeping troops worldwide right now. Very strange. Those are the guys we do not want coming in. You don't want them coming into your country right now, no matter where you're at. United States, Australia, Italy, Canada, wherever. You do not want those guys coming in. Because those guys are direct with the people that did the Agenda 21. That's where that was drawn up. And you just don't want... There's some really bad things that we've reported on having these guys come in and take your weapons, take your food. Not that most military and government can do that under certain laws, which is BS. So I just thought I'd show you that. And then we're going to skip out of here. And we're going to... What's going on in the South China Sea? It looks like China's totally taken over the... There's no more talk about South China Sea because they have totally taken over.
The Roosevelt's commander, Captain Brett Crozier, was stripped of an opening in the South China Sea, as the United States military was embroiled in controversy over its handling of an outbreak of coronavirus on one of its Pacific aircraft carriers. China was resuming operations in the South China Sea. In the past week, The English-language website of the People's Liberation Army has posted stories on large-scale naval exercises and the sinking of a Vietnamese fishing boat. In addition, it also announced the ramping up of military industries in Wuhan, the original epicenter of the COVID-19 pandemic. The South China Sea drills came after the U.S. aircraft carrier USS Theodore Roosevelt passed through those waters on its way to Guam, where it is now docked after more than
And this feeds right into what I was telling you guys all along, if you go back and watch the stuff, that China had the antivirus and vaccines and stuff. Their troops were never sick. Their factory cities were never sick. The only people that were sick were the sacrifices, the people that were expendable. They're deplorables like us. We're expendable. So, meanwhile, this is kind of a first look what they've been out there doing. They've been acting just like they normally do. And now they've pushed, with the United States having our own aircraft carrier and other military guys getting sick and stuff, China's just being the fat dog, trying to be the hero on one hand, taking over the South China Sea, and I believe they're going into Africa over there and doing things. They're everywhere. China is there. This is China stepping forward, guys. I don't know how far they're going to step or what's going to happen, but I don't trust them as far as I could throw a whale. I ain't very far. I don't know, guys. It's just so many. Remember, we've been saying so many things going on. I wanted to bring you a little some different things. Let's watch a couple more minutes of this.
170 cases of coronavirus have been reported aboard the ship. The Roosevelt's commander, Captain Brett Crozier, was stripped of his command last week after a memo he wrote warning that urgent action was needed to protect the lives of his crew was leaked to the media. The U.S. Navy's other aircraft carrier in the Pacific, the USS Ronald Reagan, is also facing a handful of positive cases, a defense official told CNN last week. That ship is docked.
That was the Wuhan stuff way back originally. I've got that if you go back and look at it. They were dragging people and beating them out of their houses and stuff. Does that look like somebody's really that sick that wanted to go? No, they were on their phones or on the internet or doing something China didn't like. And they took them somewhere and they disposed of them. I'm not going to candy coat it, guys. Those guys are toast. They're not coming back. And when you see your neighbors getting dragged away like that, and then you get dragged away, you're going to fight too. Literally. Wouldn't you? I would.
In Yokosuka, Japan, undergoing maintenance. Late last week, a second U.S. Navy installation in Japan, Sasebo Naval Base, reported its first case of coronavirus. Other virus cases have been reported at U.S. installations in South Korea. In total, the U.S. Defense Department reports more than 1,500 coronavirus cases within its ranks. The Pentagon has taken steps to control the spread of the virus within the services, including stopping the movement of troops between installations worldwide and canceling training exercises and even delaying some basic training for recruits.
This is the stuff you don't see on
Cause,
regular TV,
including
guys.
Weariness among troops who were expecting to be rotated back to the States, or lack of familiarity with missions or equipment because training cannot take place. Jonathan Hoffman, U.S. Assistant Secretary of Defense for Public Affairs, told reporters last week the Pentagon makes daily risk assessments with an eye to regaining full operational capability more quickly. But some analysts have suggested that in the South China Sea, even short-term holdbacks can create an opening the PLA could take advantage of. I think China is exploiting the U.S. Navy's coronavirus challenges to improve its position in the South China Sea by giving the appearance it can and will operate there at will while the U.S. is hamstrung, said Carl Schuster, a retired U.S. Navy captain.
There's more of that if you want to go check out. That was Defense USA. Go check it out, guys. There's a bunch of it over there for you guys to watch. This was interesting about just because Russia's shut down, their ballet is going on strong. I thought it's just something to break the ice, guys.
They're doing it at home and posting online. It's less classical, more kitchen, really. Don Quixote at dinner time. Valeria normally uses a fan for this bit, but in quarantine, a plate will do. Ah, the emotion of it all. A scene from the ballet Giselle, with a saucepan of Russian dumplings. There's clearly an appetite for this bizarre ballet.
Is it wrong of me to laugh at that? Because it sure is funny to me for some reason. I don't know why. I'm just, can't resist myself. Sorry, guys. Turkey's having issues now too, and you don't hear about Turkey anywhere.
Municipal officials distributing free face masks. As the death toll rises, the government has introduced stricter measures. Travel to 31 cities is banned, either by public
Check
transport
this out, watch.
or in private vehicles.
Right here.
In addition to people over 65 years
Curfew.
old and those with chronic diseases, people younger than 20 years old are also not allowed to go outside. It is compulsory to wear masks in public areas such as markets.
Under 20 is not allowed to go outside at all. Think about that for a minute. That's like total martial law kind of. I mean, we're not far from it. We're just putting on this big smiley face that everything's okay. Can't hunt, can't fish, can't do anything. But right now they just want you to go to the store, come home, and hibernate. I did notice bikers are out, or not necessarily bikers like bikers, but and they might be out too. But I noticed groups of, and a friend of mine works for a place here in town, so he has to go every day, run back and forth. And he said there's bikes all over the road in groups of up to like 6, 12, 6 feet away. But I guess that's the way around it right now. If you got a bike, you can get out and ride. That's kind of cool, at least in Oregon. It's something to think about.
Supermarkets and places where people work together.
We are distributing masks to our passengers who are using public transport in line with the President's decision. We see that our citizens are obeying the rules. If they don't have masks, we will help them and inform them about the new regulation.
For the most part, the public appears to have taken the advice seriously.
We took our own precautions. I think protective measures like masks and gloves are very good for our health and people around us.
We have taken precautions. I believe they are enough, but we still see some people not following them.
Turkey's postal system will start delivering medical face masks free of charge. Citizens can request them through epttavm.com. The government says there's ample evidence of growing awareness in society, and it hopes the country will soon overcome this pandemic. Hassan Abdullah, TRT World.
It's like everywhere, guys. It just, I know I came to you and I showed you, I even showed you where those strange guys were dressed up like, kind of like ducks. And they were all, hug me, I'm a poor China man. And they were in all these cities before the outbreaks. And so it's not surprising to me that it spread like that, guys. It's not surprising it was here, too, because it was spread like that. Plus, we didn't shut down the airfare and stuff, guys. And this probing with the heat temp. We know it was, 14 days, now 30, now possibly 60 days. Possibly now It's not big news, but I've managed to cover some of it. You can be contagious, period, after you have it. So the bottom line is, once you have it, you may be contagious, period. And you may get it a second time, which they don't want you to know that either. It's just strange, guys. I know I'm a little, like, sluggish and burned out a little bit tonight, but I'm bringing you the news. I'm just not quite full energy because I've been just go, go, go. I'm good to go, though. Believe me. So with that, let's check out what's happening. Japan's pulling their Japan first, like USA first.
Claims that companies are rethinking their approach towards China. Now they want to diversify their sourcing and supply because they can no longer depend just on China. The coronavirus outbreak has snapped the global supply chains. A fragile and imbalanced system that broke when China shut down all the factories. Now, half of the Earth's population is under a lockdown, more than 4 billion people, that is. Companies that could not get their supplies earlier now cannot sell what they have because stores have been shut. The losses are mounting. The coronavirus outbreak is a black swan moment for the world. It is forcing countries and businesses to rethink their approach. Japan and the United States are showing the way. The world must create alternatives to China. The question now is, who stands to gain from the shift? Which country or countries have the potential to become the global export hubs? If not China, then who? A group of 5 countries known as the Mighty Five could benefit from withdrawals from China. And India is one of them. India can offer manpower at the same scale as China. The trade war benefited some of these emerging markets. They will be fighting for new contracts after the global lockdown ends. The second one on this list of the Mighty Five is Vietnam. Before the coronavirus crisis, Vietnam was exporting around 5,000 products to the United States. Thailand, Malaysia, and Indonesia also stand to gain. Again, the same selling points: cheaper raw material and labor. It is time for the world to seriously explore these options. We talk about making China pay. This is one very good way to do it.
And with that, that brings you a little bit of everything tonight, guys. And I love you, and I will pray for you. And this is me just popping out, and I will pop back tomorrow, I promise. May you guys get some rest too, get some supplies, and get prepared a little bit more. In Team 99, I know you have. And if you're new to this is Healthcare Sucks, where we don't candy coat. We use the Fair Use Act. Nothing here is real until the Wuhan monster is knocking at your door, and he is knocking. So with that, Healthcare Sucks! Over and out, my friends. Have a good night.